Good morning, ATD Cascadia. My name is Fritz Brumder. I'm your host and presenter today, and I'm joined by DJ Widmer. DJ is going to be our off-screen moderator today. I thought I would start with an overview of the Brandlive interface, so you can just get oriented and see how you're going to learn and how you're going to interact today. So first of all, on the right-hand side of your screen, you see a chat function. You can submit your comments and questions here. And when you submit those, either I can answer them live on video, or DJ here will be able to take those questions and reply to them with things like links or potentially even images or downloadable assets. DJ, any other comments about that?
Well, please be active during the session today. We get to do the fun part of giving away some prizes as well. So again, Fritz mentioned I'm going to be behind the scenes. I don't want to steal your thunder, but we're going to roll a video in about a minute, and we're going to show you how I'm going to jump off. But I could actually be really remote. So, for example, our moderation feature enables you to be, another side of the country because it's all cloud-based and online. So
yes, and I'll give you a preview in a few minutes of what that moderation dashboard actually looks like. But a few more things to orient you to the Brandlive page experience and the learning environment that you have here today. So first of all, we are actually live from the Brandlive studio here in Northwest Portland. Just below the video frame here, you can see we have a call to action for a PDF, which is an additional learning piece of content. We kept that pretty high level. That's an overview of the Brandlive video learning platform. And then just below that, there is a quiz functionality. ATD would really like your feedback on this session today. So if you're watching live or recorded, please take a moment to submit the 5-question quiz and provide the feedback for ATD to improve all of our content going forward. All right, DJ, without any further ado, we're going to show you how via live video you can either show your desktop or play recorded video. So we're going to start with just a short recorded video with interviews with some of your peers about how they're using live video for training and education.
My biggest source of frustration is not being able to educate effectively everyone that I want to. And so this is really the way that we've been able to connect with hundreds of dealers and their staff, so there's thousands of people, in a meaningful way. Because that's what they're looking for, that's what they want from me, is to educate and train and inspire their people so they have better connections with their customers, and that leads to increased sales.
This is where you go. You know you're going to get the best curated training and education material on this platform. It helps us create ways in which no matter how you learn, you can take this information in and digest it, and it actually sticks.
They don't feel as though that they're just being talked to or presented to. They feel that they can engage. They can feel that there is more of an interaction that they're having with the brand. That ability for them to feel that they are part of what we're doing really just helps with the adoption. It helps with the buy-in.
I love that we can, create lots of different ways to interact and engage with our audience.
And they can go to this one place for all of their online learning needs, whether it's live or archived content.
I can bring unique trainings and unique live video and even recorded videos that are custom designed for our partners.
I don't have a degree in training. I don't have a degree in video, but the fact that I can go on the site and build a page in a few minutes that looks beautiful. It's amazing that how much I can do and kind of feel like a pro with little to no experience.
The data sets are so rich in terms of the retention time, how many people are on there, the comments, and the fact that you can download all of that and track it super easily is really important. Feedback from our customers was pretty consistent that the types of trainings they enjoyed were the types of trainings we were doing live on Brandlive.
All right, and welcome back to our live session here today on Educate Anyone About Anything, Anywhere, unless they're on vacation, of course. Then you shouldn't be doing your training. So again, my name is Fritz Brumder. I am here live with you from the Brandlive studio, and we're going to be going through 3 main topics today. First, we're going to talk about why video is such a relevant media format and asset for your training programs. Then we're going to talk about how quickly and easily you can get set up and running with a video and mobile-first training format. And then finally, we're going to look at some of our peers, and we're going to share some examples about how other people are utilizing live video and even recorded video for engaging and training their audience. So I'm actually just going to show a few examples. We'll have a little bit of inspiration in it, but this is really just to help orient you to what some of the customers of Brandlive are utilizing live video for. So in the beginning of this, I shared a recorded video, and now we're going to start to show slides and live video interchanged between each other. So our first example here on my desktop is Cabela's. And Cabela's is using Brandlive for retail store associate training. So they can get their product experts live on video and broadcast that to all of their retail stores. And they can use this visual-based communication format of video for things like product training and education, but they can also do really fun things like role plays. So they can deliver the best retail store associate experience at all stores all at the same time. Next, I'll share an example from eBay. eBay does Brandlive events broadcast to all power sellers. And their goal is really to up-level the quality of talent and the quality of business professionals that are utilizing eBay as really their e-commerce and go-to-market store. Obviously, the more stuff that people sell on eBay, the more money eBay makes. And they have some people that have legitimately built fantastic businesses just on the eBay platform alone. So they need to train and educate thousands of power sellers to up-level their quality of selling and utilizing all of eBay's marketing, shipping, and customer relationship tools in order to build their business on eBay. And finally, a little bit of fun, a company named Sanmar. You probably haven't heard of the name Sanmar before, but I'm sure that you've worn one of their garments or items. Port Authority is one of their brands, so just about any promotional item that you would be given would likely be from the company Sanmar. They do lots of sales training and education to make sure that their field teams are up to speed on the latest and greatest of their products in real time. So it keeps the field sales team in the field really interacting with customers, but gives them the benefit of the knowledge that they need on the most recent products, because they're updating their products all the time. Gives them the knowledge of the most recent updated products in order to sell those products in the market most effectively. So all of these examples, there is video as the central core and as the central tool. But as you'll notice, I've always put a mobile screenshot into these examples, because we know that people are on the go and that our workforces are all over the place. So there's a couple reasons why video and mobile and the combination of those two things make for a perfect training environment. The first for video is it's really all about authenticity these days. And that may sound a little bit like a buzzword, but if you really break that down, it's actually really just about storytelling and being personal and being as visual as possible to your audience. That's everybody's expectation as consumers these days. Over 80% of the internet is going to be video-based by 2020. That means that almost all interactions in our personal lives are going to have video as a central component to it. So why would you ever build a training program that doesn't have video as a central component to it? Because your viewers are just going to expect that. So you need to be able to meet them at their same expectation levels. Now the benefit to you, of course, is that you have a much better, more rich storytelling capabilities. So you can have your product experts live on camera, you can intersperse recorded video, you can intersperse slides and screen sharing, and you can even show software demos. So if you're getting into much more technical training, you can demo software, as I'm going to show you here in a little bit today. Now switching to mobile, why is mobile so important? Well, we know that everybody has access to the internet and access to a video screen essentially in their pocket. And a lot of trainings today are happening in much more bite-sized chunks. So you want to create smaller pieces of video content that people can consume while they're on the go or have a few minutes in the airport or working together in a remote location. So you want to make those bite-sized chunks, and then you want to connect the right elements to each one of those training elements to make sure that the viewers are retaining the information and that they're incentivized to complete that. So those are really the next two components, which is adding a quiz function or a survey function to your training program. Once you do that, you essentially create a lesson. So the combination of a video plus a quiz equals a lesson. And then once people complete a series of lessons built into a course, that then becomes an incentive. And so I'll start to share a few examples of this. I have covered already, we have lots of questions actually up already. We have Doug, love the format. Doug, thanks for tuning in. Grace from Ohio. Let's start to take a few of these questions. So how much customization can I do with Brandlive compared to Zoom? Really good question. So first of all, the big difference between Brandlive and Zoom, Brandlive is web-based and mobile-based. So you don't need to download anything in order to watch and interact with Brandlive content. Once we've made it as a web-based application, that opens up the door to a lot more customization from a brand design and look and feel perspective. So as you can see in this interface here, we have custom background and the ATD Cascadia logo just above the video frame here. In the Brandlive admin console, that's very easy to upload and change that asset for whatever your marketing content or that event is focused on. So as you can see from some of the examples I shared, even with Cabela's and eBay, you can see that the look and feel of those interfaces are totally different. However, the functions and features are the same. So you have a lot more brand control in Brandlive than you do in Zoom. The second component is that the quality of the video is higher, comparing live video broadcast or Brandlive to Zoom or any webinar functionality. So we can play really high quality recorded video assets, and the viewing experience for that is much more friendly than it would be if you were trying to desktop screen share a recorded video asset. We've all had that experience, and it just doesn't do the recorded video justice. And the final component, actually among others, maybe DJ could put into the chat function, we have our 10 ways, I think it's 11 ways. 11 or 10? I
think we went down.
Okay. 10 ways Brandlive is different than a webinar. So we can share that asset in the chat function. But anyways, what I was getting to was scalability. So, today our audience is not massive, but of course some of the brands and the customers that are utilizing live video have very large audiences, and so you want to have built-in scalability to have a large audience be able to interact with your content in real time. So scalability is a key part. Boy, we've got a lot of questions coming through. Let me compartmentalize this a little bit. So we've got Jennifer from Portland. Can you talk or demonstrate a bit more about the role play functionality? Great question. So in the Brandlive studio here, we have a couple different setups, and most of the time a Brandlive event, you can go live from most locations with varying levels of production. So if you wanted to do a role play in a retail store, you could bring either a 1 or 2 camera setup into that retail environment, and then you could just create a mock role play just like you would if you were doing an in-person training. And you'd have, character A and character B, and they would do the mock role play experience. You can also do that in more of an office-based setting. So if you want to role play a contact center or call center type of experience, which we see a lot of, right? Contact centers more and more these days are becoming remote call centers. When you have remote call centers, you have people dispersed all over the country. Sometimes you're even working with a third party, and you need to create content and assets in order to train and educate potentially thousands of people that might be answering calls on your product or might be answering calls on someone else's product or service. And so you need to be able to show and demonstrate to those people all of the different scenarios that they might come across. So you can do a role play in more of a business type setting where you're doing a combination of sharing what the person sees on their screen and the interactions that they might be having with a manager or somebody on the phone. And you can incorporate those audio and video assets into one presentation that your audience can then see and interact with live, or they can do that in a recorded format. So I'll get to more video on demand examples in just a moment, because that does open up some of the flexibility. You can record a pre-recorded role play and then deliver that as a shorter bite-sized content that's delivered via a mobile interface. And that's another great example for role play functionality. So Jennifer, hopefully that answered your question. Sue asked a good question from Bend, Oregon. Thanks for joining, Sue. I wish I was in Bend. Maybe this weekend. How does this work with most LMS platforms? Good question. So Brandlive allows for single sign-on. And actually, I'll take a step back for a minute and just talk about how you create a training program with multiple different platforms and formats. And you kind of need a different tool in the tool shed for different types of learning and education. So we're seeing a lot of customers have a traditional LMS system, a Active Directory or CRM type system to manage their audience, and then a video platform to be able to deliver video training and education content. So the CRM system or Active Directory system will manage the access to both of those tools. Somebody will come to Brandlive or to the LMS system and they'll have to sign in. That'll authenticate them against that person. Once they do that, those two systems can communicate back and forth with each other. Now, some customers have created a link between Brandlive and the learning management system. So they'll essentially create an LMS course that will require the person to click on the Brandlive course, which will open up the Brandlive training and education course or the live video event. Then it will track their specific activities like video viewing, quiz submission, or incentive completion. And those will then report back to the CRM system, so the CRM knows what activities the person has just done. So everybody's environment is a little bit different, but those are the three components I would suggest thinking about when building an integrated training program. Your LMS, your CRM or your contact system or your Active Directory system, and your video platform. Jeff from Vancouver, Washington asked the question, how is Brandlive different than simply using Zoom or WebEx? We actually did cover a little bit of that. And DJ will maybe reply to that comment with the Brandlive differentiation, 10 ways Brandlive is different than a webinar one sheet. So stay tuned on that, Jeff. Kevin asked a good question. Not all employees can watch live. What are the options for archiving? So let's switch over to some of our video on demand use cases. And this is going to get into the second major topic that we wanted to cover today, which is all about a platform for quick and easy launch of a training program. So if we go to the, and I'm going to be sharing out my screen again here. If we go to the Brandlive courses section, this is the viewing experience that people would come to in order to get access to video on demand recorded video assets. So here I can see that there is an example course with 5 lessons in it. And I haven't started that course, but I have completed the one prior. Now just below here, I've set up an example marketing course from Brandlive. So you can see quickly, as soon as I get into the interface, I can see whether I have passed or failed which specific lessons, and I can see if I have earned an incentive. And that incentive can either be a connection to an e-commerce store to purchase product at a discounted rate, or it can be a PDF certificate. And we can actually, in real time, pull user profile information like first name and last name or email address into a PDF certificate. So it's actually creating a real-time completion certificate with the person's name and timestamp associated with it. Once I get into an individual lesson, this is where video on demand is used more often. So answering your question about how you would create video assets that people can consume on their own time rather than watching live, this is most likely the format that they would be using. So here I have 3 lessons. Each lesson includes a video asset and a quiz. And in this case, I've already completed the quiz, but I can skip to the next lesson and see the next video and the next quiz. Oops. And those videos will autoplay, of course. Actually, here's our 10 ways Brandlive is different than a webinar asset. So you can include, just like in a Brandlive event, you can include recorded assets built into the course and the lesson for people to be able to do additional learning while they're watching the live video. Now, even in a recorded format, you can also have viewers ask questions. And when they ask questions, you can have a non-synchronous reply to that question. So we create a digest at the end of every day. Your content admin or training professionals would get a digest of all the questions that people have asked. They can either reply to those in the Brandlive interface, or they can reply to them via email. So you get the person's name and email, like Sam from Brandlive. I could reply back to his comment in an offline format. So that's how most video on demand training courses are set up for the viewer side. Now let me switch to the admin side of that, because one of our key topics again today was how to create a quick learning platform or quick go-to-market for your training program. So with the great advantage of cloud-based and web-based technologies today, Brandlive has really created a way to build these courses. So I'll show you sort of a shell of some that we have right now, and I'll show you how to add additional lessons to those courses. But it's really all about the metrics. So you want to make sure that the content that you're creating, people are actually engaging and interacting with that content. So I can see here I have a lesson called Premium Summer Cocktails. 65 people have engaged with that, so this is just an example Brandlive course. When I go into the overview of that, I can see the exact details of that particular course. So the prior screen that I was looking at had an overview of all of my courses. Now I'm just looking at one specific course within my training program. Each lesson has essentially a shell that you can start to drop in video or all of your content assets into to create a lesson. So if I just click Add New Lesson, I have the ability to run a live broadcast for a training course, which is awesome. Or I can do a pre-recorded video. And I just simply upload an MP4 file from my desktop, and that will populate. Very quick uploading. We take care of all the transcoding across multiple browsers, multiple devices, and multiple qualities. So you select your pre-recorded video from your desktop, and then you can add a quiz. So if I picked this cocktail number 2, and I go into that specific quiz, you can add success and failure messages and a threshold with which people need to pass a certain number of questions within the quiz in order to get the completion and then therefore the certification. But it's a really simple web interface. If you want to do multiple choice questions and then select which answer is the correct answer, it's very easy to do that on the fly. So you can sort of start to see here how if you have a video and you have a few questions that you want to test people's retention of that information in that video, you can quickly and easily build a lesson and then publish that lesson and share that out with your audience quickly and easily. There's a number of other features in here too, like turning comments on and off. You can add slideshows. You can add products to help supplement and support your training content, which was the 10 ways Brandlive is different than a webinar download that I showed you just a moment ago. Then once people start interacting with your content, you can really get granular on who those individual people are and which lessons and courses they're actually completing. So the first thing that we have to do is connect our lesson and course to a specific audience that we're trying to train. So this section of Brandlive is connecting to our people, our audience section, and then, one second. So now we can look at an individual's responses. Once I've connected Brandlive to a specific audience, I can see this individual, Matt Crone, completed on the 24th 2 different lessons, and I can see which questions he actually answered and what his reply was. So you can get pretty granular down to individual user details, or you can look at it at more of a high level and see all of the people, for example, that completed your full course versus interacted with one individual lesson. Okay, so that was a little bit of a long answer around recorded video assets. In summary, you can either publish recorded video assets via a traditional Brandlive event or a course which has multiple lessons built into it. You can also do live broadcasts like we're doing today, interact with your audience in real time, then you can archive that content for anybody to come back to. And ATD does a great job of taking these live events and building a library of assets for all of the members to be able to come back and access at any point in time. Brandlive also offers real-time AI-based transcription to each one of those videos, and then searchability for the content within each one of those videos. So if you want to go back and search an hour-long video to find the specific part that you're interested in, you can also do that. Okay, DJ, we've got some more questions coming in. Doug from Portland, Steve from Portland, and Steve from Boston. I'll start with Steve from Boston, actually, because he's the farthest away, and he's taken his afternoon, actually, to join us live. So can you share with us some of the integrations you have? Can you integrate with Salesforce? Yes, we have multiple integrations, especially with marketing platforms and single sign-on platforms. So in our integration section with Salesforce, I'll share out my screen here, and what you first do is you connect Brandlive to your Salesforce account. So that's a traditional process where you see connect to Salesforce. You'll see a little pop-up show up. As long as you're an admin for Salesforce, it'll grab your Salesforce ID. Once you've enabled that, it will automatically track registrations to all of your Brandlive events. But you can also track things like lesson completions, quiz completions, video views, and call to action or product clicks. And it's a very simple toggle on and off switch that will connect Brandlive to be able to speak to Salesforce in real time. Now, if somebody registers, like Steve in Boston, for example, if you register for an event and you don't already exist in Salesforce, it will automatically add you to Salesforce as a lead. And then every activity that you do after that will be tracked to your individual profile. If you already exist in Salesforce, then it will just append the activity information to your existing either lead or contact record. In addition to that, we do offer some basic integrations with Google Analytics and Add This. And then we have more custom integrations with platforms like HubSpot and LinkedIn and Facebook, and that's more for sort of content sharing and content promotion. Our Marketo integration is making the most progress, and we're hoping to launch a self-service Marketo integration and settings features here in the next few months. Okay, Doug asked a good question, and we're showing off some of the Brandlive moderation features here because DJ from ATD has also responded to Doug's question, but let me see if I can add a little bit more color to that. So how long does it take on average for the person to be trained on the Brandlive video learning platform? What's the support like? So it's very easy and self-service in order to understand and utilize the Brandlive video learning platform. The harder part is really the content and the idea for what you want to train and who you actually want to train. That's where most of our customers get hung up, and that's why we've built a customer success team to be able to take ideas and best practices from our large customer base and then share them in a confidential way with all of our customers. So we have found that it's not just about the software, it's about a very high level of support. And that's the kind of mix that you get here at Brandlive. So most of our customers will come with some kind of idea for what they need to do from a training and education perspective. They usually have either a content producer or a marketing manager or a training manager assigned to the Brandlive account. And then there'll be an onboarding process, which is usually a call or two or maybe an on-site visit where our customer success manager will help train and educate those people on the Brandlive video learning platform. But once that happens, barring any content creation timelines, you're talking, the matter of a week or 2 weeks to get set, all the pieces and components set up and running. But again, you need to shoot and record your video content, and that's why we have both our Brandlive studio here in Portland. We welcome customers to come in here, and we also offer studio kits that a lot of our customers end up purchasing. Just recently, I published an article on LinkedIn about a trend that we're seeing with more and more customers building studios in-house. And the cost to do that these days is really not that bad. We're talking a little bit more than $10,000, but not more than $50,000. And even if you included, paint and room and space and all that kind of stuff, you can build a really nice studio for a very cost-effective price these days. So we're seeing that as a key trend. Steve has a good question actually about Sling Studio system. This gets into the what the different production options are. So Sling Studio is a way to do sort of not production or broadcast quality video, but also not mobile quality video. You can combine multiple cameras, sometimes just mobile phones, into one source and then broadcast that to a destination. And that does work with Brandlive. The Sling Studio has the ability to broadcast to what's called an RTMP address, and Brandlive accepts RTMP ingest feeds. So it's very easy to connect the Sling Studio production setup to a Brandlive event. You can also use that to create your recorded content. So if you record assets and then you want to upload them to Brandlive to courses and lessons, you can easily do that as well. All right, we've had lots of good questions and interactions, so thank you guys. I want to make sure that we're moving through a lot of our content because we have a ton to cover here today. So we've talked about why video and why mobile are important for your training program. We've also talked about how you can leverage a platform to create quick and easy training content that you can distribute without a whole lot of friction or time and energy. Next, let's talk a little bit about the value of incentives. And DJ from ATD tipped the hand a little bit that we love to do giveaways here at Brandlive. So keep those good questions coming, because I think what I'm going to do is select the best question out of the bunch, and Stanley, which is the maker of the infamous thermos, Stanley thermos, the kind of the green color. They're one of our customers with Brandlive, and they use us for retail training, field associate training, and virtual sales meetings. And so we're going to give away a Stanley thermos to the best question that comes out today. So that's the first format of live video incentives. So during this live video event, you can create your own kind of creative way of a giveaway item, and then you can select your winner either from polling and quizzing, questions and comments, or some of our customers just do registration. So as soon as you register for the event, you're entered to win. The next layer of that, though, is incentives that are specific to completing a lesson or a course. Once you do that, you can get much more granular about what kind of incentive you're offering. And that can either be PDF certificates that are dynamically created in real time so that you can populate them with the user information and the timestamp, or e-commerce purchasing. And in our incentive program, we've added a lot of features and functionalities for customers to be able to manage who actually gets access to those incentives. So sometimes you need to be a part of a specific group in order to actually get an incentive. GoPro is a great example of this. If you work at a GoPro retail store and they utilize Brandlive for training all of their retailers across multiple channels on a global basis, if you take their training content, they will give you a discount on their product. But they don't want that to be available to just anyone. So they have something called verification. Each time somebody completes one of their courses, they're required to upload a pay stub or a business card or a few other assets that they're allowed to have to verify their identity. Then inside of a very simple interface, the admin at GoPro can see who has completed an incentive and who needs to be verified. There are some that just based on their email address, they're automatically verified. And then there are some that require somebody to actually physically go look at the asset, click verify, and then that triggers a notification to the individual that they've been verified, and then it sends them the discount code for purchasing of any GoPro product. So it's really a full cycle system and contact management system for each individual that's interacting with your training content. The beauty of that form of incentives is that ROI to your training program becomes really clear. A lot of our customers can justify the training program actually paying for itself. And e-com teams absolutely love this because the more traffic that they drive to their e-com site and purchases with a discount code or additional add to cart items, the happier your e-com team is going to be. So wouldn't that be great if you could get your training program connected to your e-com system so you can show clear ROI to your purchases? That's really the perfect scenario for any training manager. Steve asked a good question. Who is the capital Genius? Who is the capital genius behind Brandlive? Well, there's 35 people that are the capital genius behind Brandlive. So you can meet Renee behind the camera here, DJ who's on moderation, and many others that have created what you're seeing here today. Okay, so we've covered incentives, and now I want to go back a little bit more to a few different examples. So I'll be sharing out my screen again here and a few screenshots first of different Brandlive training programs. So we've had lots of questions about how Brandlive is different than a webinar, and that will become very apparent here. So the look and feel of this interface and the quality of the video production is really quite different than you would see in a webinar. Plus, there's no download in a browser and a mobile interface. So this is, again, GoPro here doing live training for their retail store associates. Another one that I really like is just live chat sessions exactly like this. And we've seen customers actually set that up in somebody's office. So who's the product expert? Who's the CEO or sort of the genius behind your company? Get that person on camera and have them interact with the audience that will have the biggest ROI and impact on your training programs. So I'll just flip through some of these examples here. Merchandise meetings is a very popular format for Brandlive because the assets that you're showing and explaining are very visual. So anytime that you need to do something like role play or physical product demonstration or connecting this piece with that piece, and that's how the system actually works, is really critically important. And live video is a fantastic tool to leverage when you need to show and demonstrate product to lots of people, especially in a global or national environment. Now I'm going to switch back to the Brandlive home interface again and show you one more example. So here, when I get into a Brandlive course, it'll quickly show me how many lessons are in that course and whether or not there's an incentive attached to it. Once I know that, I get right into the course. The video starts automatically playing. There's a little bit of branding here in this interface for the product. And then there is, and I really like this format, where the video content and the text content on the page are really working hand in hand to help train and educate the viewer. So as they're going through the quiz, they can hear the content on video, but they can also read the content in text. And as we know, everybody learns a little bit differently, so offering both of those options in the same interface can be really valuable. In addition to that, you offer some self-exploration content for the viewer to be able to experience and see a little bit more the different features and functions of product training if you're doing that. And if it might be more of like a process or software training, you might have slides in this section of the interface. So those are a few more examples to get you interested and inspired about what to do with your training program. Another question, Doug, you're just chiming in with lots of really good stuff here. Can you share how trainers can make video trainings themselves even more engaging so that the info is retained best? Creativity should not be downplayed in training. Training professionals need to have a creative eye and a creative energy. Going back to one of the examples I shared with Sanmar, they take this to the extreme. So they're selling promotional shirts, hats, t-shirts, etc. And they take that very simple product and make it incredibly engaging. The people who work at the company are engaging themselves, but the format is also more like kind of sketch comedy or theater type of stuff, and they will throw in different things. For example, they were showing and demonstrating a raincoat at one point, and they like threw a bucket of water on the person, and that made it really interesting for people to watch and engage, because it was really their peer that they got to see the bucket of water thrown on them. They'll also do things like they have when they're launching their winter wear. They'll pretend like it's really cold inside of the studio or somebody turned off the heat. So they're doing just some creative things in their content creation to make it a little bit more funny and interesting. We did something about a year ago. We launched a video called The Cake Bet, which is a 2-minute video explaining the features and functions of our Brandlive Events product. Well, at the end of that video, one of the characters in the short video smashes a cake into the other character's face. When we did that as a recorded video, it was pretty expensive to do, and it was time-consuming to get that shot just right. So we decided, let's recreate that live, and rather than some other factor determining who was going to get a cake in the face, we had the audience actually choose that. So in that scenario, the viewers actually reported back to us that it was actually more of a lean-in training experience. People were actually physically leaning into their computer screens for watching and engaging with this content, and they're submitting questions and comments. And you get a little bit of that naturally. So today we didn't come up with any crazy and creative ideas, but still I can tell just based on the audience interaction with me, plus the audience interaction with DJ, plus hopefully a little bit of interaction between each other, we're getting kind of a creative type of experience here that is helping the viewers digest the information and content better. So without going into the creative process for how you come up with those ideas, which would really be the next step, Doug, is how do you set up your team in order to build creative content, either for yourself or in connection with your agency? So if you want to dive deeper on that, you can just email me at fritz@brand.live, and we can talk about what the process is for that. Now, Brandlive doesn't really provide that as a service. We sort of tee up different concepts and ideas, but we stop sort of short of the actual creative process and creative production. Greg asked a good question about the specific length for videos inside of the video learning platform. There really isn't any limitations on the length of your videos, either live or in a video learning platform format. However, there are some best practices. So traditionally, a live event is anywhere from 30 minutes on the low end to an hour is the vast majority of Brandlive events. However, we have lots of events that are 5 hours a day for 5 days in a row. And the viewers actually report back that they really like the live video format for those long digital meetings, because your alternative is conference call and screen share. And I'm sure everybody watching this would agree that listening to the phone and watching somebody's screen change for 4 days for 5 hours a day that would be maddening, right? But we watch video or we watch TV all the time. That's just a regular part of our process. So as long as you're making your content visually appealing and you have good product experts on camera and you're hitting your audience with relevant information, you can actually hold your audience for much, much longer with live video than you can any other format. Now, when it's recorded video, we are seeing shorter view times. So average view times for recorded video are in the couple minute range. So if you're building a video learning course, we would suggest while you can upload a really long video, you probably should keep it within a few minutes, definitely not over 10 minutes. All right, we've had lots of really good questions today, and as I mentioned in the beginning, we are going to be archiving this session. ATD builds a great library of assets for you to be able to go back and watch this event or any of other ATD's archived assets. Last month, I know we had a great presentation from a brand storyteller, and if you combine this session with that session, I think that would answer Doug's question about how do I create a quick and easy training program and what platforms might be relevant for me in order to do that, and how do I pair that with a great story. So if you watch those two things, I think you'll have the raw ingredients for building a winning training program for your company. Doug asked where the ATD library is located. DJ from ATD Cascadia is on live with us today. So DJ, if you could submit a link to that, or the ATD Cascadia website is probably the location. We'll get on that for you, Doug. All right. Well, I think without further ado, I would really like to thank ATD Cascadia for being a partner of Brandlive. We launched actually our Brandlive video learning platform at the ATD national event in San Diego a few weeks ago. So if you missed that, don't miss that again next year. It was a fantastic event. And as I mentioned, this will be archived and recorded. Thank you again for all of your questions and interaction today. And we'll see you next time on ATD Live.